Good afternoon, everyone. We are so happy that you're joining us today for Lunch and Learn webinar. My name is Asafai Shmeles, and I am the Associate District Director at Lutheran Community Services Northwest. This is our 5th webinar in an 8th series. And today we'll be focusing on Lutheran Community Services Northwest programs in the metro area, and as well as Beaverton. Many of you know that we resettle refugees, but our work at Lutheran Community Services Northwest goes above and beyond the initial resettlement into the long welcome process. Today, you'll get a glimpse of the work that we're doing in the community and what it takes to support the refugee and immigrant in responsive and cultural responsive ways. We have a great group of panel that we have put together. Dahlia is the Associate Clinical Director in Portland and Beaverton area. We have Amena, who's a case manager. Nusheen is our peer support specialist, and Alma is the director of the Immigration and Counseling Advocacy Program. Behind the scenes are Jenica, Jamie, and Carrie, who are running the tech and will be helping with the Q&A throughout this process. Sorry. Our goal today is to provide you a glimpse of what we do, our experiences and our experiences of challenges and successes as we support our community members integrate in our community, and give you a deeper understanding of what it takes to do this process, adjustment process for our community members and our providers. We also want to get you a deeper understanding and get you involved in supporting our work in a meaningful way, as many of you are already doing in partnering with us in understanding this long welcome process that Lutheran Community Services, Multicultural Services is engaged in providing support at many levels. We have a Q&A function under your bar at the bottom of your screen. If you think of any question, please put it in there, and we will answer that during the Q&A process. I will next introduce Dahlia, our Associate Clinical Director, to provide some really deep information about our program. Dahlia?
Hi, Asifash, and hi, everyone who has joined us. Thank you for the opportunity to be here with you. My name is Dahlia Badarani. I am the Associate Clinical Director, and I'm here to talk to you about our behavioral health work that we do for our refugee and immigrant communities. A little bit about myself. I am an immigrant myself. I came from Lebanon in 1998 and started my journey as a student here. I became very much involved during my school years working with the refugee and immigrant communities. Because I was actually working through my own adjustment at that time, and I needed the support of the communities who are like me. And sure enough, it was fascinating. The amount of support that I have received when I first immigrated to the U.S., more specifically to California first. I became very much interested in the work, and I decided to specialize in behavioral health work, and to work with refugees and immigrants and those minority populations who are underserved in many ways. I currently, in my existing role, I continue to serve our clients who come from diverse, populations. Of course, there are a lot of admin work involved, but I continue to dedicate my time for the advocacy, advocating on behalf of our communities. That is just a little bit about my clinical role. I have my doctorate in clinical behavioral health as well. And that really was intentional in a way for me to gain, help me really in my advocacy work when it comes to refugees and the immigrants that we currently serve. I felt that there is an obligation on my end to be as strong as I can be to help those communities. So that's just a little about myself. Next, I would like to talk about my work at Lutheran, and kind of speak more to what we face on a daily basis. There are always those challenges and highlights and success stories, but I wanted to kind of speak to the challenges that we currently face, and those are really many. And if I were to really summarize some of those, there are always challenges with getting our communities access to resources, given that there are always social determinants of health that we are facing. So we are constantly addressing those, and the fact that there are limitations in social and resources that are available for the refugee and immigrant communities. While we continue to work together as a community, as in partnering with others, that remain always, in my years during Lutheran, remains actually an issue, a concern, but we continue to do the work and actively continue to do the work in that sense. So the challenge is really is very much a financial challenge, where we are sometimes looking for ways to help a family maintain and sustain a good life, help a family, for example, get employment opportunities that they deserve, educational opportunities that they deserve, but then we are again faced with the challenge of getting enough funding to help those that are in need. But certainly there are always highlights, and those highlights are that, I'm very grateful for the fact that we always have partnerships with community groups that are willing to support, public leaders that are willing to kind of hear us and hear our stories and our struggles, so that we can together and creatively think of ways to support our communities. We are constantly looking for funding opportunities, of course, that can help our marginalized individuals get the support that they need, and that the support that they deserve, truly. We are always advocating on the behalf of others, and making sure that we are looking at assessment and public health assessment, where we are, so that we can improve those, and make sure that that everything is taken care of when it comes to assessing the public health of a refugee and a refugee family. One of our highlights, specifically that has to do with our services at Lutheran, is that we help our communities with behavioral health services. That is one area, but we have a very much a transdisciplinary care model, and we have wraparound services where we are able to help the client or the a community member not only with counseling, but we are able to help them with case management, with peer support services if needed, with medication management, with immigration counseling. So it's really we function as a community at Lutheran Community Services to meet the need of our clients and communities out there. We are also able to support the community with support groups, and those support groups are not necessarily only available for clients engaged or enrolled in our counseling services, but also they are available to anyone who is interested in being part of. Those could be adjustment groups, those could be parenting groups, learning how to cope with anxiety or depression, cooking groups, sewing groups, you name it. There are a lot of those groups where adults, youth come together so that to support each other in that way. Also, one of our programs that we're really proud of having is our Multicultural Institute, and this is an institute that really affords members in the community who come from BIPOC, from the BIPOC communities and diverse communities who are interested in pursuing a career in behavioral health. And we are very proud of this program that is available and affording our community members with scholarships to continue their education and seek their masters in behavioral health, and therefore help the refugees and immigrants in that way. So that's just a little about our programs. Of course, there are so many, but for the sake of time, I will just speak to those two programs. Now, those are some highlights, and I want to just say that communities helping communities is really something that we are always trying to achieve during as we work with the community at large, who is very much interested in many ways to help our refugee communities, whether those are from Afghanistan, from Ukraine, from the Middle East. We're so grateful for that help. But I sense that, and I always see that being absolutely important, and the community at large knowing more about those communities that we serve, their needs, and supporting us with financial resources. That is always amazing, and we've been always grateful in the way that communities help us in that regard, because they are opening up a lot of possibilities for our refugee families, giving them hope, and really learning about the kindness of the our communities out there. So that is a little bit about the work that we currently do at Lutheran Community Services. And from here, I think I will ask Asifash to take it on.
Thank you so much, Dalia. This was really insightful. And I know there's so much depth to the work that you and the team are doing at Lutheran Community Services Northwest. And I'm just reminded how lucky that we are to have you on board to really do this amazing integration work, actually, for our new community members. So I think that was really nice. And I'm sure there's going to be more questions in the future, and people can actually send that, respond to that at the Q and ask you at the Q&A, during the Q&A and beyond. Thank you, Dalia. Our next panelist is Amena, a case manager. And I think she's going to be joining us in just a minute.
Hi, hello everyone. Thank you, Asifash, for introduction. Hello, my name is Amena. I'm so happy and grateful that I'm here with you all to talk and learn about the Afghan refugee experiences and challenges and what we are doing at Lutheran Community Service to support these refugees. Okay, if I want to say a little bit about myself, I want to say that I came to USA in 2016, and I graduated from Portland Community College. When I was in PCC, I served as a student advocate at the Women Resource Center, which included becoming a certified confidential advocate. Now, the reason that interesting to work at Lutheran Community Service, that as Dalia mentioned, that I am immigrant as well. I have experienced the challenging of immigrant that have, and I just really like it to support the immigrant. That's now I'm currently an Oregon State Certified Peer Support Specialist and Certified OHA Assister for Lutheran Community Service, that we are provide culturally specific support to Afghan refugee and supporting the Afghan refugee that began arriving in Oregon since August 2021. And during my job at Lutheran Community Service, the most important challenges that we recognize that refugees have is like some of the refugees have some, for example, legal document process. The process is like slow, and language barrier that most refugees have, especially like Afghan, including Afghan refugee as well, and different cultural background and not familiar with new roles and law in the USA. Financially also is the big challenge for the new refugee who coming recently, and also it's very hard for them to find a job according to their experience. Housing is the another main challenges that they have to find affordable and the good house that they like is hard for them. And also some refugees have some family issue or legal issue. The resources that available to help them immediately is very hard, and you can say that is if they want to hire the lawyer, it's very expensive for them. Another challenges that the most refugees have is like mentally challenges, like kind of the missing the family, and also especially for Afghanistan situation, they have a lot of pressure from their family back in Afghanistan, and they're worried about them, that how they can support them. And another challenges that I recognized because of I'm a woman from Afghanistan as well. Women rights in Afghanistan remains a major challenge for as long as anyone can remember, under no privileges, but actually it's the patriarchy system. Afghan women have been long denied the basic rights like right to education, right to work, and countless other basic right to living a good life according to each woman's dreams and aspiration. Unfortunately, this violence against women's rights has become internalized, and most women, Afghan women who came to just accepted this as a reality. But when coming to the USA, these women often isolated themselves more and not get involved in the community because of the language barrier and the cultural barriers that they have back in Afghanistan. These negatively affect their mental health, leading to depression. And what makes me, again, I said that working in the Lutheran, and my goals in the Lutheran is to use all my experience and what I learned from experience of living in the USA as a woman and as an immigrant, to support these Afghan refugees resettling in our community, to empower the new arrival to live a better life through advocacy, social services, connecting to community resources like apply for HB, food stamp, on other resources that we have available in the community to help them to get access to them. And also, and I mentioned that about the women rights in Afghanistan, we have an online support group meeting for Afghan women, to raising awareness for women's rights and to acknowledge them that their right is valuable and they are worthy and they can follow their dreams as like men, that they need to learn about their rights that they didn't have back in Afghanistan. Thank you so much for your time and listening to me. I think it's all thing that I share with you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Amina. That was really, really helpful. And again, so insightful, and the cultural responsive process that you bring is so is amazing and much needed to continue this work. Thank you.
Thank you.
Nusheen is our next panelist. Nusheen.
Yes, hello everyone. My name is Nusheen. I am a peer support specialist with Lutheran Community Service. So I'm going to start with a little bit of myself and my background. I left my country, Iran, in 2008, and I lived in Turkey as a refugee for 2 years until I came in America in 2010. So as I'm a refugee here, and you know, like the language English being a second language for me, I started some like ESL classes to better my language. And but then, because of the culture that I was coming from, and because of the lack of the rights for a woman, and also for some religions back in Iran, you know, I had that mindset that not everything is for me. So I lived my life until 2017 that I realized, no, that's not the life that I want to live. So I started my own journey, like with working and studying. I got some interpretation classes, and I worked as an interpreter for like a year and so. But then I started looking for more opportunities to study more. So I got in like CNA classes, and I got my CNA license, and I've worked as a CNA with Providence for 2 years. But then I realized, you know, I really enjoy working with people, like listening to people, trying to help them in whatever I can. So that pushed me forward, and, you know, I looked for more opportunities, and I heard about peer wellness specialist training, which with the experience that I had with the kind of abuses that I was dealing with during my marriage, and like as I said, with the lack of human rights that I grew with, you know, that was the like breakthrough for me. So I really enjoyed that. I really got the experience. I really learned the information, and then in that training, I got to know Hakimi, who is a peer support specialist with Lutheran Community Service. So I heard about this position, and also the training that they were offering. So I joined the group of the training. I got the license, and I applied for the position, and I got hired as a peer support specialist with Lutheran Community Service, cultural specific, like for Dari and Farsi speaking. So on my role at Lutheran Community Service, with all this newcomer Afghan refugees, we thought, you know, it's good to have like a support group to help them, you know, because I already experienced the lack of the knowledge that I had when I got here. So I thought, you know, maybe if we can start like giving the knowledge, giving the information to the new people, maybe they don't need to wait so many years to realize they have the great opportunity to live their life as they want, and, you know, to make their dream to come true, and all of this. Because I think women in our culture in Afghanistan and also in Iran, we're not aware of our own like self-worth. We always like lived under the control of the guys, like men, controlling us and, you know, putting us down all the time. So this support group that we started, we are focusing on the rights, on the self-worth, self-growth for the women, to like kind of make them realize that they can live the life they want. And they are the same with the men. They have the same rights. All of these are important to like live the life like happy, and, you know, to use the better that you can, to use your best in the life that you're living. So right now in this group, we have 23 members, which they are like, what we hear from them is like, they are happy with the group. They're really using it, the information that we are sharing. We were able to connect them with Washington County Library, Beaverton Library, to like kind of use them, get familiar with what we have in community, and use the services that they're offering. We were able to have like one of our clinicians to come and talk about self-care, and, you know, help them to realize and be aware of their feelings, because it's like a new start, new beginning for everything. And we go through lots of stress, lots of depression. So it's important to know about our feelings and know how we should take care of ourselves. And that was a great, you know, experience to have our clinician Mania in the group. So thank you so much for all the support that we are getting from Lutheran community with supporting our Afghan newcomers. And some challenges that we have in the group is like, you know, not all of them have like the access to smartphones or electronic devices. So sometimes we need to get these devices for them. And thanks to Oregon Refugee, they helped us with the lab to like get some laptops to our clients, and they are able to join the group, which is great. And yeah, as I said, laptops, electronic devices are the needs that we have for this Afghan woman to be able to join the group constantly and, you know, use the information or whatever we have. And this group is like kind of, we made it like kind of a friendly group, which they feel at home. We are facilitating this group with Hamana. And, you know, since she speaks like Dari, all the participants, like we always hear that. And I feel like so blessed to do this. So they say like, because of all of this sadness, being depart from the group, from the country, from the family, and having someone here that speaks the same language is like kind of heartwarming. So it's like we feel close to each other. So that was a success kind of for the group. I think that we hear good feedback from the participants. But the other challenges that the members are going through are like kind of ESL classes. They're looking to learn language because that's the base to move forward. That's the base to get a good job, you know, to know about all the culture here, all the information, all the facilities that we are dealing to find job, like or everything, like health plan, housing, with all of this, you know, it's like another challenge. Like language is the most important thing that they are challenging with right now. And the other thing is, like I mentioned before, the electronic devices. There are still some needs for that. They are still like we still have like some newcomers that coming and they're still in hotels, so they don't have any access to any devices. So, you know, but I so appreciate all the community, all the agencies that are helping us during this like time to support our new neighbors. I think that's it. I just wanted to talk about the group and, you know, say how it is going. And thank you so much for the time, and thank you so much for listening to me.
Asafash, you're mute. I'm sorry, Asafash.
I'm having issues here. Thank you so much, Nushane, for your information. It's amazing. I know there's questions that are going to be answered during the Q&A, so thank you so much.
Of
Our
course,
next
you're
panelist,
welcome.
you're welcome. Thank you. And our next panelist is Alma, the Director of Immigration and Immigration Counseling and Advocacy Program at Lutheran Community Services Northwest. Thank you so much for your patience.
Thank you, Asafash. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for the previous panelists, tremendous women that are working with Lutheran Community Services. If you also thought, because of my name, that you were going to see another woman, I apologize for your disappointment. But I am truly grateful to be here. On my drive here, there was a little spider on my dash, and I'm deathly afraid of spiders. And I said, you know, I need to get to the office so I can be part of this panel. And I decided, well, I guess today I've become the first Korean Spider-Man. But I'm truly grateful to be here and share with you just some basic information about what we're doing here at Immigration Counseling and Advocacy Program. Jamie, next slide. In the Pacific Northwest, we're home to thousands of immigrants who, you know, contribute to the fabric of our society, especially in our communities. It truly is a safe haven for immigrants, their families, and the most vulnerable all over the world. Immigration Counseling and Advocacy Program started in 1979, and it provides low-cost immigration legal services for refugees and immigrants. And we have offices in Oregon, we have offices in Portland, Beaverton, McMinnville, and Salem. And also in Washington State, we have offices in Vancouver, Tacoma, and Seattle. And all of us are working to really and truly reunite families and provide a safe haven for these families. Next slide. And the services that ICAP, or Immigration Counseling and Advocacy Program, provides are citizenship and citizenship applications and family-based applications or visas, which are basically green card applications, asylum and deportation defense, the Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals or the DREAM Act, temporary protected status, and visas for crime victims, trafficking victims, with UNT visas, and other various immigration assistance. From 2020 to 2021, just our Portland office has served over 2,800 individuals. Prior to the pandemic, all our offices combined served over 3,000 individuals yearly. And our immigration legal services model is based on the idea that we would try to provide access to justice for everyone. And truly grateful for the staff that we have that are truly dedicated and have been with ICAP for some of them over decades, and true advocates for immigrants from all over the world. Next slide. The reach of ICAP is truly worldwide. Anytime within the world we face a humanitarian crisis, you know, our department is involved in reuniting families quickly and safely as possible from all those countries. just within the last 12 months, with each humanitarian crisis, we have assisted families to expedite visa petitions from those from Ethiopia, apply for humanitarian parole and asylum statuses for Afghans and Ukrainians now. And so whenever there is a humanitarian crisis, we really are involved in helping those and their families to come to the United States and seek safe haven. For the last 10 years, the type of immigration cases that are dear to my heart are the humanitarian asylum cases. And we have served clients from truly all over the world. If the penguins needed help from Antarctica, we may even help them. But we have people, families, individuals, mothers, single mothers with children coming from Central America, Africa, Asia, Middle East, Europe, South America, and even from the Isles of the Sea in Fiji. We have one asylum case from over 40 different countries and winning over 44 asylum cases within the last 8 or 9 years from Mexico, Honduras, Guatemala, El Salvador, Haiti, Uganda, Rwanda, Eritrea, Ethiopia, Togo, Burkina Faso, Burundi, Kenya, Guinea, Egypt, Iraq, Yemen, Syria, Palestine, Ukraine, Kazakhstan, Venezuela, and the Fiji Islands, coming with their issues facing persecutions of political, religious, and family strife, and also women who are victims of domestic violence within their country, who cannot escape from their persecutors. Next slide. For example, we have a Ukrainian client who in 2017 came to seek our help. Those within ICAP and who have worked within ICAP understand the Ukrainian crisis and the war started much earlier than 2022. This client, a Ukrainian family, was a businessman. And for 2 years, from 2014 to 2016, he saw a need to help those are within eastern part of Ukraine in the Donbas region. And so from 2014 to 2016, he provided food, water, medicine, clothing to the Ukrainian soldiers and children organizations and even hospitals. He'll make the 12-hour drive from Kyiv to Donbas region at least once a month to provide these goods. About more than a year after continuing to help those that needed help in the Donbas region, he was shocked to find that his name and face and picture was within a website that was helping the Ukrainian soldiers. He was identified as one that needed to be eliminated, but he continued to help. He continued to make the trip to the Donbas region. And closer to early 2016, his business was threatened, vandalized, damaged. He was threatened. His wife and son were threatened. And their safety truly became unsustainable in Ukraine. And they had to leave their home, their businesses, and their beloved Ukraine to seek safety in the United States. And so this is just one story of people coming to not just the United States, but the Pacific Northwest to seek safe haven and to start a new life where they can be safe, that they can have proper rights and also access to justice and continue to blossom here in the United States and be able to live up to their ideals. I'm so grateful that I've been part of ICAP and our immigration department to provide any kind of relief we can to those that are coming to us from all over the world. And thank you for your time. And I'll pass it back to Asifash.
Thank you so much, Alma. As always, I'm just in awe of your role in the specific clients I've worked with you to really kind of support them move and adjust their status and at least connect with some family members somewhere down the line in the hopes that they, kind of get back to some form of normalized living in these United States that we all call our home. Thank you for that. I really appreciate your support to all of our clients. And I have to say specifically to the ones that I've worked with you on, that I've learned so much from you. It's such an amazing, amazing support that we have here at Lutheran Community Services Northwest. Thank you.
Asafas, we're really lucky to have you. Let's not get that, confused. I'm truly grateful for you and your work and everyone here on the panel, for sure. I do feel inadequate to be within the power group of women and be the sole man here, but truly grateful.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you. I think just to say, I'm also an immigrant that came to Lutheran 2007 as a volunteer for a few hours and ended up being here for 15 years. So there's this love for the work, and in the community that we've built at Lutheran is really a microcosm of what America looks like. So I'm really happy to be part of this process, especially today. Thank you for everybody listening to this. I think we're moving into the Q&A right now. So bear with me a little bit. Hello? Okay, good. I'm having some issues with my internet. I have a big tree on my roof here. So let's see.
Asafaj, I can read off the questions.
Okay, that would be great. If you can, that'd be, and then I'll just,
Sure.
Go ahead, thank you.
Here's one for Alma. How many of the families are separated and for how long and why?
Alma.
Found it. I found the button. Sorry. I think that's, I would need more context for the question, but in general, families that are petitioning for their wives, spouses, and children often are separated from their families at least a year. Some of those that are fortunate to be in the United States, they may be able to adjust, meaning legally adjust their status to a permanent resident in the United States. So they may not be separated, but oftentimes, if you're petitioning for families that are overseas, they may have to wait at least 1 year, oftentimes waiting 3, 5, 10 years or more. Now, if you're just talking about separation of families for asylees or refugees, now those cases can also take more than 5 or 10 years. Just really depends. But often there's a separation from loved ones for many years, which we are trying very hard to expedite and do our best to limit that separation as much as possible.
Thanks, Alma. Delia, there's a few questions about volunteering and what kinds of volunteer needs there are. You want to speak to that?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. We are always looking for volunteers. I mean, we have a very big food distribution that is coming up, for example, and that is a culturally specific food distribution. And it's very important that we are seeking this opportunity and helping our community in this way, given the inflation and the increase in prices. So we would appreciate all the help that we can get, in terms of, kind of doing the food distribution. In addition to that, we are always finding that there is a need within the community to help, our refugee members with English lessons. They are very much motivated to learn the language, understand and speak it, so that they are independent and not dependent on someone else's help. And so that comes from their resilience and strength in themselves. So that is an additional need.
Thanks, Dalia. There was a question in the chat for you, Amina, about what strategies and approaches you take to helping Afghan women understand their rights in the US.
Okay, thank you for the question. Actually, for this adjustment group that we have weekly, we try to discuss every time a little bit about this, and also the guests that we have to share, to acknowledge them about the, for example, self-care is the right that most Afghan women sacrifice for family. They don't care about their self-care, but we, for example, we invite the clinician to teach them how to take care of themselves as a human, and even they have to take care of themselves. And also another topic that is come during the discussion, that this is that our group meeting is the platform for them to speak about themselves, to share their experience and what is kind of good discussion for them. And also we are going to have a plan to have a different events for actually, for example, like celebrating a Women's Day, and also the other like any holidays that we can have a chance to celebrate. We try to help and also provide a lot of resources for women in our group and also in the community. It takes time. We don't expect that the result is going to be immediately, but we don't know that it's going to step by step. And we hope that it's going to be work on the, for example, future. Thank you.
Okay, Alma, this is another one for you. Someone says, I know of a Ukrainian family that needs help filing paperwork with immigration. Who can they speak to? I would love to connect them with someone. I've tried to reach out to 12 plus attorneys and paid money for some, but they never call back, refuse counseling.
Yeah, that's a very good question. I think there is a sense of the same concern that I'm hearing from other attorneys within, at least in the Oregon area. There's a lot of burnout for immigration attorneys, and so they are having a hard time accepting all cases. I had talked to a colleague of mine that is in private practice, and both of us are very confused as to why none of these attorneys are taking those cases. Safe answer for me, the quick answer to that is you can reach out to ICAP. We do provide full immigration services, and you make that by making an appointment with their front desk in Portland. Like I said earlier, we do have multiple offices in Oregon and also in Washington, and we can provide a consultation, which means we will go over the case, do an intake, and provide not just one way to apply for an immigration application, but to see if there's multiple avenues to keeping that family here permanently. We may not always have the right, the answer that they're looking for is, can we apply for something, stay here permanently? But we will provide you the right information for that family. So, and our consultations are $50, and it's first come, first serve, providing that access to anyone. Yeah.
Thanks, Alma. Nushin, there's a question for you. It says, wow, an amazing story you have and a way to make change. In the support groups, are you seeing trends for the women in terms of educational goals or job goals?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for the question, and thank you for the feedback. Right now it's like the most important and the most goal, like the important goal that they have is learning language. So like the English classes or, any resources, any training that we get in like English, as a second language. That's the most important goal. And the secondary is like finding job, because some of them are still like supporting their family back home too. So it's so important for them to have like the income to support themselves here and also back home. So like learning English is the most important goal to like kind of push them forward for the job as well. Thank you.
There's a question here that I think actually I can answer about whether there's an overall calendar for Portland to show all activities, show how many people are needed, and allow volunteers to sign up. We are working on having something that is a little more organized in that way, but right now the best thing to do is to email our volunteer coordinator to get on our volunteer list, because she sends out email requests for volunteers, and to sign up for our newsletter. There's an e-newsletter that goes out every month, and that will have information about where we need help and how you can get involved and support. Alma, another question for you. What happens when an asylum case is lost or not won?
Yeah, that's the most heartbreaking part. The difficult part of asylum case is that even though those families or individuals may have suffered tremendous persecution in their home countries, the asylum laws are very, very detailed and specific. And so if it doesn't meet the laws within asylum laws, unfortunately, they may not win their asylum cases. And so what happens if you don't win? Then they may be put into the deportation, or what we call removal process, and which does take time, but they will be in front of an immigration judge, and they have another try to explain to the judge why their asylum case should be granted. But if not, then obviously, if there's no other avenue of staying in the United States, they may have to go back to their home country. To be clear, there is more process after they lose. There's other appeal processes, but eventually, if they don't win all the way up to the Supreme Court, then they would have to go back, unfortunately. Yeah.
Alma, even though you were feeling strange being the only guy, there's a lot of questions for you. So here's another one. It says, how can we help you? What is needed most for you and your team? Money?
Money never hurts. We'll never turn down money. Any kind of help. We have two major humanitarian crises that we're dealing with Ukraine and also with Afghanistan. Any kind of volunteers, especially those that speak those languages, Ukrainian, Russian, Dari, Pashto, or even Farsi. If you're willing to be a volunteer, that would be tremendous. So any way possible, your time, precious time. So, yeah.
Okay, one more for you.
Okay.
Can you briefly describe the main differences between asylum seekers and refugees in terms of status and access to public benefits?
Oh, this is a great question. So, asylum seekers are those who are trying to become refugees in the United States. And those refugees that are already here have already been deemed and classified as refugees. So when they come to the United States, although let me back up, to become a refugee is not very easy either. Sometimes it can take many years, and then you may be waiting at the refugee camp for sometimes over a decade. So that fact that they come to the United States, when they come with their refugee status, and they have public benefits, which may include not just being assimilated into the United States, but also housing benefits, case managers that are helping them process to getting jobs, etc. For the asylum seekers, they don't become an asylee or become a refugee until sometimes many years. There are some groups of people that come from certain countries that the United States will expedite their cases. But even then, those cases may take at least 6 months. Some cases that I have won just recently in last month in March, they waited both cases, one from Guatemala, the other one from Yemen. Both won their cases, but they also had to wait 7 years. So during that 7 years, these asylum seekers do not have refugee status or asylee status. So oftentimes they don't have any benefits. They don't have medical benefits. Oftentimes they don't have housing benefits. And they also will have to wait at least 6 to 8 months to get a work permit. So during the Trump administration, they knew this was an issue. They put out a memo that said, well, then they need to be able to access the homeless shelters. It was within their memo. It was incredible. But these asylum seekers for sure need much more assistance while they're waiting through their process and their cases are pending. Our agency does have some program up to 100 enrollees that are asylum seekers that will help them with some housing emergency funds, I believe rental assistance also, and including job assistance and finding proper legal channels to get their immigration's services provided. So there is some help, but not as much as refugees. So that was a very good question.
Okay, I think we have addressed all of them. I'll hand it back to Asavash.
Thank you so much, Alma. I'm not surprised the questions are coming for immigration because it's just that piece of the resettlement process is so huge, and so I'm just thankful for everybody for these so insightful questions and just vital for everybody to understand what this process looks like. The immigration piece is a big one. We're all in awe how that works, and it's so complicated. But we have Alma to really kind of dissect these things and really kind of share those really important pieces. Thank you for all the questions. They're all very thoughtful. I know. Really thankful for joining us today, everybody. And I know your thoughtful questions really indicated to me that there's a lot more questions that's going to come up, and we look forward to those that we haven't answered today at this time. So feel free to reach out and get those questions answered. We have 3 more Lunch and Learn webinars, so check them out and sign up and connect with us again. I think next week, sorry about this. Next week, there is Lutheran is partnering with KNKX, public radio station for refugee stories, and please check those out. And for amazing refugee stories to share about their experience here in the U.S. I think, having said that, I think we're at the end. We're ending our webinar. And I really, really appreciate your thoughtful questions and attendance. And we look forward to working to hearing back from you. I know many of you are already supporting us, but if you can find ways to really talk to us more and find ways to partner with us in this journey, we really appreciate that. And you can connect with the advancement team. Thank you so much.